Right, after a tea break, next round, part two. Now, in part two, I am going to be going around the car. It's nice and dry out there. This weather has dried it off within a couple of hours of me finishing part one. I'm going to go around the car and point out all the areas that I think are a bit funny and areas that you may need to keep an eye on. So I'll point all these areas out, so as addition to part one, and I'll start drilling, wire brushing, the usual techniques that I've used in the past. Again, we'll go through the process and just go all the way around the car with the drill, and then we have basically covered all the areas that need to be done. From then on, it's a simple case of rust killing, zinc primer, stone chip in places, satin black if appropriate, or stone chip in areas of high abrasion, and then silver hook underseal to top up the main areas. Now, as you can see under the car in part one, the wax oil has survived really well along the undercarriage. It's just the arches that need to be topped up, but I'm not using wax oil for the arches. It's a completely different thing. I will be using some white spirit to clean off some of the nice areas. As I say, when you're spraying paint and underseal everywhere, you tend to spray things you don't want to spray. I don't want to spray the shock absorber. I don't want to spray brake hoses or brake lines or bolts and nuts. I don't want to spray them. It looks tacky when you spray all the same colour. So I've got some white spirit to wipe it off and clean them up. And it should look really, really nice by the end of it. So I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but it will take as long as it takes. It's body work. Right. God, it's just literally, this is 2 hours after part one. I'm not kidding you. It's just gone bone dry. It's brilliant weather to do this sort of work in. And oh my gosh, it has gone dry as a bone. This is good. This is good. I can see everything now. Now, I'd say the area to look at the front is just down here. Look at this seam down here, and if I just turn the camera, this is the back of the sill. This is the bit that people just don't pay attention to. I'm going to go over this area with a wire drill, just this little bit here that is just showing through, just to be on the safe side. Again, I might have a look at this as well, but I think it's okay. This wing is absolutely shot, and as I say, my fiberglass, yeah, that is the devil of all bodges, the fiberglass mesh, but it's actually done a good job. It's actually held it together well, but it's getting a bit impervious, but I don't want to push a hole through because yeah, I've got a show to go to with it being like this, so I don't really care. People can see it for what it is. That's just, it's going to come off. But that seems really good. I don't think I'll have to look at that. I'm going to have to go over this as well. That's not good. This tends to get a bit scabby here. I know this gets a bit funny. I've got to go over this because this is where the arch liner builds up lots of mud and it sits against the actual inner wing itself. I will say is, I think one of these is one of my broken earth points. So these are the earth points that go through from the engine bay, and one of them is broken. I can't remember which one it would be, but I'd have to drill one of them out. But that's a job for another day. This gets a bit scabby. This, I don't know what this blanking plug is for, but it is a blanking plug, so it's just held up quite nicely. It's okay towards the front. It's really clean, and the cross member for the radiator actually looks really good. It's held up really well, that, so I'm not concerned about that whatsoever. In terms of the front arm, it's held together really well. The subframe, I'll just bring you around here. This is the area where it gets a bit tricky to actually paint, but it just gets a bit bubbly around there, and I am going to go over this side. This is the worst bit, just here on the edge, but apart from that, there's just nothing to talk about with this front subframe. Again, I will look on the other side, and it is usually towards the end of this bottom arm here. It's just here where they go a bit scabby. As you can see in there, the knuckle gets a bit funny towards the bottom side, but overall it's okay. These pinch bolts are an absolute pain, I will tell you that, but all the ball joints are good, and the CV, sorry about that, camera caught the light there.
I am trying to avoid the sun because it is too bright for the camera. This boot is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with this outer boot. Even the inner one is absolutely fine. It's just nothing. I think it's slightly more worn actually, the boot, unless that's just stone chip that's oversprayed on it. I think it's stone chip. But you come to the back, come to the side here and just get down the floor. I mean, it's a bit funny here, but this is all going to be looked at by the body shop, so I'm not going to touch it. I'm not concerned. I've got a feeling there's a bit of a bubble where my finger is just here. This is imperviating rust. It definitely is. There's something going on there, I think, but again, it's just cracking all over the place. Now that could be a sign of rust coming through, but I don't think it's massive. If there is a hole, it would be very small. Otherwise it would be way worse than this. It'd be, you literally see it all along here. This is where they tend to go more, and when you start to see the bubbling here, forget it. Your pinch weld will be completely gone. But it's mainly here that it's just starting to get a bit funny, and this is the usual place, so nothing to worry about as such. Just grind it back as best as you can and pay attention to the inside. Now the inside is where it more or less goes. There's been a bit of metal loss here that I had to cut back the one time. I think you can see the metal loss just here. But this seam is absolutely fine, but just check out this bit here, as I said before. But it's fine. I mean, you can get some water getting into these grooves here, but it's still beaming water. This is what the wax oil is doing. It's still a bit tacky actually, but pay attention to the chassis rails that go to the front. Okay, pay massive attention because they can rust, just like Ford Escorts before it. Just check out all these areas, but overall all good. I'm going to move to the back where it ends. If you want to, I was going to say, you can put axle stands on these areas. I think this is an area that you can put axle stands on, but they're quite close together, so I always go for the outer ones where the jack is. So where the jack is mounted, that's where you put your axle stands if you don't fancy putting it on the sill. And I know the car is not sitting on that axle stand. It's because the driveway is not equal. These jacks are level. These jacks are on the car. That is, which is why I've got the big one over that side. I've got the smaller one on this side. That jack, by the way, I'm gonna have to put some new oil in it because it's getting lazy, and I know it was leaking a tiny bit of oil. But the axle stands are fine, and I might put something else under the car just to secure it, because I'm not joking, it's not actually on the axle stand, but it's there. The main thing is it's there, so if it drops, it's dropping on an axle stand, not you and cutting off your face or your legs. It seems okay, it seems quite okay here, but as I say, that is what we are looking at going forwards. So I'm just going to check out the other side now to see what that's like. This is where people just do a lot of editing, but I don't. I just show you it as it is. Again, just getting a bit scabby at the bottom here. They do get scabby, these bottom arms. They always rust a bit more because they are the lowest point of the suspension, so naturally they're going to be exposed to a lot more dirt. But the knuckle looks really good. That stone chip is just coming off in a few places. I will go over with some brake cleaner to clean this up. These calipers were new about a year and a half ago, and look how dirty they get. Again, the CV boots they're absolutely fine. I'm going to put some silicone on these. The inner ones, that isn't cracking, by the way. Oh, hold on. We have some minor evidence of cracking here, but I suspect, I mean, look at that. I'm looking at the rest of it, and it doesn't seem too bad, but I've got to be aware about that. There's just some, I don't think that's actually cracking. I think that's just a lot. That's actually a mark, a line. And you got the clip, and then you got the. It's just a line. It's not actually a crack. I don't know how that's happened. Maybe it's pushed against it somehow. But I will just keep an eye on that just to be sure. But that's the only little thing that I've noticed on the boots that I'm not happy with, and these are the originals. So I am going to put some silicone lubricant on them. If I bring the camera to the other side, actually, I'll just look at the subframe. It's just tidy. Again, it's just on the outside of the. It looks fine. Looks absolutely fine. Right. So this is the bit, as I say, just pay attention to this. So I'm going to wire brush this back, and you can see evidence that we've got some surface rust on the inside of the sill. So I'm going to have a look at that more closely. There's some patches here that I will get a wire brush. That is actually the worst bit I've seen so far. It's actually flaked off. So wire brush back to bare metal if you can, and go from there. But again, it's the corner. Just watch this corner. But overall, it's absolutely fine. The brake pipes again look really good. There's just no issues with them. They have been stone chipped, by the way, the brake pipes, and if they are rusting, I will know about it. A bit of paint that's coming off there. Oh no, is that a reflection? A bit of paint coming off there, so I'll sort that out. Just isolated areas, but it's beading water really, really nicely. Just looking at the other side of this, and it's not a crack. I think it's a manufacturer's mark. I think the other one's got it because it goes all the way around. It's uniform. A crack is kind of inconsistent. It's kind of wavy. No, I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. I mean, this area gets a bit funny in here as well, but as I say, it looks nice. It's held up really well. I mean, this is done well as well. We'll sort this out because I've pointed this out before. Be careful around here as well, because these brackets can get a bit funny around here, and they have been known to break off, especially when you're trying to release that pipe from that hose, or break the clip off, or try and get this clip off on the inside. It's not the. I mean, I can bend it. I'm literally physically bending it on camera. They're not the strongest there, but not too bad. But I'm gonna have to look at this. I don't like that when it starts looking like that. There's some reaction going on. Yeah, go up here. I haven't actually reached up that far. The top plate looks a bit rusty, but that's probably the only part of the suspension I've not changed. Again, look up there in the corner. Seems to be all fine to me. I'd say we know about. Got some bits and pieces there. So this is why we're getting some surface rust there, because that's where the rust is. But I just get that on the floor. And this is from another angle. Yeah, again, just look at pieces like this. There's just some areas. Actually, there is an area here that doesn't look very good. We're getting some flaking rust on this side. This is actually the most rustiest area of the underbody. Now, this is where I will top up with a bit of underseal. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we'll come back to that. But overall, this sill that was done last year in stone chip, it looks really good. I've just got to clean it up a little bit more, but overall it's fine. We've got the fuel rail just here, the nearest pipe, the biggest pipe. That looks okay. There doesn't seem to be any corrosion. Towards the back of the car, you've got the fuel filler pipe. Again, do you know what? Those pipes look absolutely fine. check inside the clips because they can rot in the clips. I will have a closer look off camera, but it looks really clean up there. The tank straps looks absolutely fine. They're holding together really nicely. I'll have a look at this area as well because they can get a bit funny around here, but overall nothing to worry about. Okie dokie, now this is where it could get a little bit messy, so we'll get the gloves on and get the drill out and we'll get cracking, and we'll just go all around the car, and it's going to get a bit dusty. Have you ever done this type of job on your car and thought, why is this my life? Why did God choose me, this hobby of cars? No, I do have these thoughts when I'm doing these jobs that I could be a normal person going down, having a nice meal with friends, wearing nice clothes and nice hands, and there's me doing all this. It's looking better, it's looking better. Just a few areas here and there. It's coming up better than I thought. I have decided to stop the camera for a few seconds and just... The only rust on the inner side of these spot welds, but it can get pretty bad where this sill section can get pretty gummed up. This is what this is, if you put cavity wax, this is what your cavity wax is in. This is the actual inner seal bit. Okay, this can rot out quite badly, but mine is okay. It's just lost a bit of metal previously that I did, and it hasn't come through again, which is fantastic. I will put some under seal on that bit, but just the scabby bits around here. And if I bring you around here, it isn't so bad. It's just this here, and I've made it really nice and neat in the corner. It came up really nice. It's just a few areas up there, and on the other side it's the same process. I mean, the chassis leg has got a bit just behind where my hand is. It's a bit disguised, but if I just shove the camera up there, can you see that? Hopefully you can. And obviously you come, it's just the spot welds that have gone, and then you just come down there and there's a load more rust here, and the same from the other side. But overall the subframe has come up, and there's still areas of this that I'm not happy with.